Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, he mentions in Mukhtasar al-Tibyan fi Adabi Hamalat al-Qur'an, from that which is a must to pay concern to is that he does not envy anyone from his classmates and other than them. He should not be amazed by what he has attained, nor show off. The way to get rid of self-amazement is to remind himself that he did not attain what he has due to his strength in his own doing. Rather, he attained it by the bounty of Allah who placed it in him. Thus, it is not befitting to have amazement for something he did not do. The way one gets rid of envy is that he knows that the wisdom of Allah necessitated that this virtue is placed in the specific individual. Thus, he should not object, nor dislike that which Allah intended and didn't dislike. The way one gets rid of showing off is that he knows that showing off will nullify what he is doing in the hereafter and take away its blessings in this dunya, that he is deserving of blame. Thus, in reality, nothing remains with him from that which he has when he shows off. Nothing remains with him from that which he has when he shows off. When he shows off. And then he says here, may Allah protect us from his anger and give us success to that which in it is his pleasure. His statement that he should not envy any of his classmates and other than them, and this is from the manners of the student as well as the manners of the teacher that we mentioned before. Envy is a sickness a sickness of the heart that a person has to cure himself from if he has it. They say that envy is dispraiseworthy and a wretched characteristic that the people of Iman and virtue do not go near. Rather, it's from the characteristics of the Jews. It's from the characteristics of the Jews and from the likes of them. Allah says, أَمْ يَحْسُدُونَ النَّاسَ عَلَى مَا أَتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ فَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آلِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَآتَيْنَاهُ مُلْكًا عَظِيمًا. That do they have envy? Do they envy the people based upon that which Allah has given from His bounties? For indeed we gave the family of Ibrahim the book and the hikmah, the wisdom, and we gave them a great kingdom. Thus the envious one in reality does not benefit from him being envious. Rather, he commits a sin and he burns inside. If you see an envious person, he's committing a major sin, but he also burns inside. Every time he sees a bounty going to someone that he's envious towards, he starts to burn him inside. And they say envy is a reason for a person to commit suicide and kill himself. Why? Because he cannot bear that the bounty has gone to someone else and not to him. So in reality, it harms him in his hereafter and it harms him in this dunya physically and mentally. Physically and mentally. Envy is a wretched characteristic that a person stays away from. Once it starts with a person, it starts to kill him slowly, as he cannot bear that someone else has this and he doesn't have it. But who's the one who gave it to the individual? Allah. Allah knows where to place His risala, His message, and where to place His bounties. No one can object to Allah where He placed certain bounties and certain affairs. A Muslim does not object to what Allah has done. As for his statement, he should not be self-amazed for that which he has attained, then because self-amazement is destructive and takes away the blessings of knowledge. Self-amazement is destructive and it takes away from the blessing of knowledge. But then Allah mentions it in a dispraiseworthy form. Allah says, وَيَوْمَ هُنَيْنِ إِذَا أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ فَلَمْ تُغْنِ عَنْكُمْ شَيْئًا. On the day of Hunayn, when you were إِذَا أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ, when you found it amazing to yourselves, your number, a large number, فَلَمْ تُغْنِ عَنْكُمْ شَيْئًا. It didn't benefit you at all. Also is reported, or is mentioned, that is the way of the ignorant. Al-Masruq, he mentions it is sufficient for a man regarding his knowledge that he fears Allah, and is sufficient as ignorance to have self-amazement or to be self-amazed by his knowledge. Enough of ignorance to be self-amazed by a person's knowledge. In reality, the knowledge that Allah gave you is a bounty from Him, and Allah can take it at any moment from you. For that reason, Imam Al-Uthaymeen mentions how many people are afflicted with forgetting after they had strong memory. They were strong in their memory and then they forgot everything. Or they were afflicted with a trial in their understanding and thus became misguided. There's people out there that memorize more than you, that studied more than you, that have more knowledge than you, but they are misguided. They're from misguided groups, whether they're from the Khawarij, or they're from the Asha'ira, the Mu'tazila, or they're from the Rawafid, and none of that. It doesn't matter that a person just memorized a lot, or studied a lot, or read a lot, but a person who has less knowledge with being upon the way of Ahlul Sunnah is more barakah than a person having a lot of knowledge and being misguided. And he's self-amazed at that which is given him. For that reason, I'll mention a story. Now, when it comes to tahqiqat, checkings of certain books, they say, when it comes to Siyar al-Nubala, there's certain checkings of that book, of Imam al-Dhahabi, and it's numerous volumes. An example of that is one of them, he did a checking of it, and in his muqaddimah he put that I am shocked that I did in such a short time span. He was self-amazed by his works. No one knows which checking he did. His checking never went anywhere. There was no barakah in it. The only checking that's out there is that of a risala. Showing us that a person becomes self-amazed, the barakah of his work is gone. The barakah of his work is gone. He became self-amazed with his tahqiq and how fast he did it, and no one even buys his book no more. No one even buys his book. I don't think anyone knows what print it was and where it came from. Showing us self-amazement harms a person if he becomes self-amazed with himself. Also, Imam Muqbil rahimahullah mentioned that he used to say some of the scholars later on became mukhtalit. Mukhtalit means that his intellect changed. His intellect changed. Where he loses intellect, and this he says is enough of an admonishment for the student to be aware of self-amazement. Because these scholars yesterday were scholars and imams. And then today, there are people that have no intellect and they're like the majaneen, like the crazy people. Now, when it comes to ikhtilat, I'll mention a benefit here, and I think we mentioned this in our classes of Nukhbah, that ikhtilat occurs for different reasons. It could occur due to the loss of eyesight. If a person loses his eyesight, he can no longer narrate from his memory, so he becomes weak in his narrations. Like as occurred to Abdul Razak as-San'ani. Anyone know who Abdul Razak as-San'ani is? The scholar who authored Musnad Abdul Razak. But Imam Ahmed is a scholar who tried to travel to this Imam by way of foot and animal 3,000 kilometers. And when he reached Yemen, Abdul Razak as-San'ani had passed away, rahimahullah. Showing us this was the Imam. But when he lost his eyesight, they say he became weak in certain aspects. Also, it could occur due to old age, like occurred to Ishaq ibn Rahawayh. Who's Ishaq ibn Rahawayh? The contemporary Imam Ahmed. The scholar at the time, Imam Ahmed, they say 6 months before he passed away, due to his old age, he became mukhtalit. Also, it could occur due to the burning of books. Some scholars, their books burnt down and they lost it. They lost their intellect. From them, Ibn Lahi'a. Also, Ibn Mulaqqin. They say Ibn Mulaqqin, when his books burnt down, his children hid him from the public. Because they didn't want him to say statements which would oppose that which he had when he was a scholar. Because of what occurred to him when his books burnt down. Showing us self-amazement is something a person stays away from. Today you have knowledge and memorize something, tomorrow you may lose everything. Allah bestowed upon you this favor of knowledge, you became self-amazed, and maybe because of that, Allah will take away everything from you. Allah will take away everything from you and make you from those who didn't know anything. Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, he said, whoever stays away from 5 things, then he has stayed away from all evil in the dunya and the hereafter. Number 1 is self-amazement. The first thing he mentioned is self-amazement. Whoever stays away from 5 things, then he has stayed away, he's protected himself from evil of the dunya and the hereafter. Number 1, self-amazement. Number 2, showing off. Number 3, al-kibr, arrogance. Number 3, al-izra, which is belittling people. Belittling people. And number 5 is shahwa. Number 5 is desires. If you stay away from these 5 things, he said, you've stayed away from all evil in this dunya and then hereafter. As for showing off, then it comes in the narration of Jundub, radiallahu man yura'i Allahu bih. Whoever tries to show off, Allah make him be seen. Imam Ibn Baz rahimahullah mentioned that showing off nullifies a person's actions when he shows off in it. So example, he says if he prays and he shows off, that prayer is not counted. That prayer doesn't count. If he gives sadaqah to show off, his sadaqah doesn't count. The reward of it is gone, and he also sins. So here we're saying, if you're seeking knowledge and you become self-amazed, the barakah of your knowledge leaves. If you're seeking knowledge to show off to the people, then you're not only committing a sin, but you're seeking knowledge is no benefit to it. You're seeking knowledge is no benefit to it because it doesn't count in the sight of Allah in reward. Also, the other one he mentions of having arrogance and envy, then if a person envious, in reality he can never succeed. If he's envious, he'll never succeed because it burns him inside that someone else is above him. And he can never succeed because that burning will never leave him. And also, showing off, in reality is committing shirk. The one who shows off, in reality is committing minor shirk. Anyone know an evidence for that? In the hadith of who? Mahmud and Labid al-Ansari radiallahu anhu say, Inna akhufu ma khafi alaykum ashirk al-asghar. That which I fear most upon you is minor shirk. فَسُئِلَ أَنْ فَقَالَ الرِّيَاء. He was asked about it, the process of showing off. So showing off is a form of shirk as well. So a Muslim should stay away from it. A Muslim should stay away from it. Perhaps we'll stop with this much. Or maybe we'll take a little more, 5 more minutes, and then let Brother Faisal start his class. Then he goes into chapter number 5. He says, manners for the carrier of the Qur'an. So we finished the 4th chapter in number 5 now. He says points of it have come in the 4th chapter. From its manners is that a person be upon the most complete state, most noble character. That he does not do anything the Qur'an prohibits. He frees himself from anything that the Qur'an prohibits, and he frees himself from lowly income. That he is honorable, that he rises above the tyrant and vulgar people of this world. He's humble with the righteous, the well-doers, and the poor, being fearful of Allah, and having tranquility and respect. As for shama'il, then it means a person has good traits. Good character and good traits. The person who memorizes the Qur'an, or he reads the Qur'an often, and he follows the Qur'an, then he is distinct in his action and statements from others. He's distinct in his action and statements and his dealings from other people who are not close to the Qur'an. For that reason, it comes from Sa'd ibn Hisham. He said, قال انطلقت إلى عائشة فقلت يا أم المؤمنين. He said, I went to Aisha and I said, O mother of the believers, can you inform me عن خلق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم? Can you inform about the manners of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم? She said, قالت ألست تقرأ القرآن? She said, do you not read the Qur'an? So he said, yes. بلى. قالت فإن خلق النبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان القرآن. She said the manners of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was the Qur'an. Meaning the commandments in the Qur'an, he applied. The prohibitions he stayed away from. The manners of the Prophet was the Qur'an. And the carry the Qur'an should follow in the example of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم and make that his manners. Now the Qur'an is not merely to be recited and not merely to be memorized. Some people, they think they put their kid in a Qur'an class to memorize the Qur'an, he becomes Hafid, they throw a party and then they don't care what he does after that. And this is wrong. The Hafid of the Qur'an, the Qari of the Qur'an, the reciter of the Qur'an is person who is distinct with his manners. And he continues upon those manners until he passes away. It's not just when you memorize the Qur'an and the parents think, you know what, I have the crown on my head now in the hereafter, that's it, my child can do whatever he wants. And for that reason the Prophet said, أكثر منافقي هذه الأمة قراؤها. The majority of the munafiqin in this ummah are reciters because people don't pay concern to that which comes after memorization and that which comes after recitation and learning its ahkam of tajweed, none than that. They think it's just to memorize and recite. No, the Qur'an is sent down for us to act in accordance to it and ponder over its verse and ayat. Stay away from its prohibitions, act in accordance to its commandments. So when I say that you do tilawa Qur'an, it means you memorize, you recite and you act. You memorize, you recite and you act. Allah says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً يَرْجُونَ تِجَارَةً لَن تَبُورَ. Allah says, you need those who read the Qur'an, يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. What do? أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ. They establish a prayer and they give from their money. So here they do actions. It is not only sufficient to read the Qur'an and memorize it and not act. And then he says a person should have dignity and honor. And perhaps this is the last point we'll read. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah mentions the honorable souls are not pleased with things except that they are the highest and best of it. And the ones that have the most praiseworthy outcomes. So an honorable soul, a person who has dignity and honor, he looks at the highest affairs and the best of it, and that which has the most praiseworthy outcomes. As for the lowly souls, then they hover around lowly things and fall upon it like a fly falls upon impurities. As for the lowly soul, they hover around lowly things and fall upon it like a fly falls upon impurities. And the noble, honorable souls are not pleased with oppression, nor indecency, nor stealing, nor betrayal. Because he is greater than that and more noble. As for the lowly, degrading souls, then they are the opposite of that. They are okay with everything. They fall upon indecent acts and haram like a fly falls upon impurities. So a person strives to try to make his soul noble and honorable. And how does a person do so? By way of ta'ah. By way of acts of obedience and staying away from haram. Allah says, قَدْ أَفْلَهَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. That the one who is successful is the one who purifies his own self by way of doing good deeds, and the one who falls and the one who corrupts his soul is, and indeed he fails who corrupts his own self. So this a person should try to, if he's gonna be a person in the Qur'an, Ahlullah wa khasatuh, then he tries to correct his manners and have dignity and honor and doesn't do lowly things. We'll stop with this much and continue next week. Subhanaka wa bihamdik la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.